This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Monday, September 15th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
New information emerges on the accused killer of Charlie Kirk.
His ideology was very different than his family.
I'm Steve Futterman.
In the days following the fatal shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, numerous workers were fired for their comments on his death. I'm Julie Walker.
The FBI director will be scrutinized when he visits Capitol Hill. Mike Hempen, Washington.
President Trump says he's sending the National Guard to Memphis.
And I don't think it's the way to drive down crime.
I'm Ed Donahue.
On Wall Street, stocks are coming off a winning week as investors hope for an interest rate cut by the Fed on Wednesday. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio hoping to diffuse tensions in the Middle East.
A longtime Texas congressman says he won't run for re-election.
It's been an honor to serve.
I'm Clayton Neville.
All ahead on America in the Morning. The assassination of Charlie Kirk is having a profound effect across the nation. As the investigation continues, correspondent Steve Futterman reports that in Utah, the alleged shooter is not cooperating with authorities.
We are learning more about Tyler Robinson. He remains in the Utah jail being held without bail. He's expected to make his first court appearance tomorrow. On the Sunday talk shows, the killing of Charlie Kirk was the main topic. Utah Governor Spencer Cox on NBC's Meet the Press said Robinson had what he called a leftist ideology.
According to family and people that we're interviewing, he does come from a conservative family, but his ideology was very different than his family, and so that's part of it.
And there were more details revealed about Robinson's roommate, who has been assisting law enforcement in trying to unravel what may have triggered Robinson.
The roommate that we had originally talked about, we can confirm that roommate is a boyfriend who is transitioning from male to female, so we know that piece. I will say that person has been very cooperative.
According to authorities, in the days leading to Charlie Kirk's appearance last week at Utah Valley University, Tyler Robinson had expressed a strong dislike for Kirk. In a discussion with family members, some of Kirk's comments were described as full of hate. Opponents of Kirk in the past have been critical of Kirk's comments on a number of issues, including transgender and gay rights. It's not clear if those may have played a role. Meanwhile, last night at the Kennedy Center in Washington, a vigil for Kirk was held. Some prominent government officials attended, including House Speaker Mike Johnson.
Charlie Kirk did so much in his short life that he spurred that on in other people. He inspired it in other people, and that message and that truth will go more boldly now than it did while he was here. It will go forward with power and strength.
Tomorrow, charges are expected to be filed in Utah against Tyler Robinson. At that time, we expect more details. And next Sunday, a massive memorial service will take place in the Phoenix area. It will be held at the football stadium, which is the home of the NFL's Arizona Cardinals. I'm Steve Futterman reporting.
Pilots, teachers, college professors, and political pundits have lost their jobs over the past 72 hours for inflammatory comments they made online regarding the death of Charlie Kirk. In one case, a New Jersey nurse was suspended for showing outrage after a surgeon praised the shooter and cheered Kirk's killing. Correspondent Julie Walker has that story.
Just how much freedom of speech do you have at work? In the days following the fatal shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, numerous workers were fired for their comments on his death, among them MSNBC political analyst Matthew Dowd.
He's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
Laws vary across states, but overall there's very little legal protections for employees who are punished for speech made both in and out of private workplaces. Most of the U.S. defaults to at-will employment law, which essentially means employers can choose to hire and fire as they see fit, including over employees' speech. And employment lawyers say while there are pockets of protection around the U.S. under various state laws, the First Amendment does not apply in private workplaces to protect employees' speech. I'm Julie Walker.
The FBI's Cash Patel facing heat over comments made surrounding Kirk's alleged shooter. That's When America in the Morning continues after these messages. Severe weather not out of the question today. This is America in the Morning. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
While severe weather season is winding down, there will still be some risks over the coming weeks with stronger frontal systems starting to enter the U.S. Even yesterday, there were more than 20 tornado reports, mostly in North Dakota. Today, that system will cause some showers and thunderstorms through North Dakota into Minnesota and then southward through eastern Iowa into Missouri and Arkansas. The conditions that provided for the tornado activity are considerably less today, and today's storms will largely be heavier rain. Aside from the thunderstorm activity, it will also be quite warm across the central U.S., with highs in the mid-80s as far north as Minnesota into Wisconsin, and mid-90s through Missouri, southern Illinois, into Arkansas. This will range from 5 to 15 degrees above average. And a storm that moved into the northwest yesterday will head into the northern Rockies today with some showers and thunderstorms. And as this feature continues eastward, there'll be some gustier thunderstorms developing from southeast Montana into eastern Wyoming, western South Dakota, and western Nebraska. Additional scattered thunderstorms will form in western Wyoming and northern Colorado. We have some lingering moisture that will cause a few thunderstorms in southern Mexico into West Texas, with another area around southeast Texas. The only other organized system is just off the southeast coast. This storm will be slowly backing westward with also a slight shift to the north. And from that, there will be increasing rainfall through the northeast coast of North Carolina with a few showers as far south as coastal South Carolina. That's the weather across America. St. Louis, Missouri will have a steamy day with some sunshine and a stray afternoon thunderstorm with a high of 94. Seattle, Washington will not be as warm with clouds breaking for sunshine and a high of 70. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen on your preferred platform when you simply download America in the Morning from your favorite listening app. 15 after. The head of the FBI faces 2 congressional hearings this week. As correspondent Mike Hempen reports, the hearings are expected to look into Cash Patel's leadership in the FBI, as well as statements made during the investigation into Charlie Kirk's death, which includes an online message that said the subject in the killing was in custody when he was still at large.
Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch. And I'll see you in Valhalla.
The FBI director will be scrutinized when he visits Capitol Hill. The uncertainty surrounding the leadership of FBI Director Cash Patel was highlighted in the hours following the shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Patel declared online that the subject in the killing was in custody, when actually he was not. The credibility of Patel and the FBI are being questioned. Patel is scheduled to appear at congressional oversight hearings on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Myself and Deputy Director Bongino arrived on the scene at approximately 5:30 p.m. on 9/11. The governor led a press conference last night at approximately 8 p.m., where at my direction, the FBI released a never-before-seen video of the suspect. We also released new images to the public of the suspect. And just last night, the suspect was taken into custody at 10 p.m. local time. In less than 36 hours, 33 to be precise, thanks to the full weight of the federal government and leading out with the partners here in the state of Utah and Governor Cox, the suspect was apprehended in a historic time period.
He'll face questions not just about the Kirk investigation, but doubts about whether he can stabilize an agency fragmented by political fights and internal upheaval. A former FBI executive says it's extremely important that Patel perform well during those hearings. Mike Hempen, Washington.
While the Democrat mayor of Memphis, Tennessee, is not happy about it, he's not standing against the idea of having National Guard troops on the streets of his city. Ed Donahue reports.
President Trump says he's sending the National Guard to Memphis. The president told Fox News he'll do to Memphis what was done in Washington, D.C.
Deeply troubled. And the mayor is happy. He's a Democrat mayor. The mayor is happy. And the governor, Tennessee. the governor's happy.
Paul Young is the mayor of Memphis.
I want to be clear. I did not ask for the National Guard, and I don't think it's the way to drive down crime. However, that decision has been made.
Young says crime is going down in Memphis, but he looks forward to a long-term partnership with the federal government.
There are some that support it and some that don't. But we're all right here together today. Because one thing we do have in common is a love for this city.
Audio from WATN. Memphis police report decreases across all major crime categories in the first 8 months of the year. I'm Ed Donahue.
Consumer sentiment down, inflation rises. A look at the numbers when America in the Morning continues after these messages. America in the Morning continues. A market update and a reminder that fall is just around the corner. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning for the final week of summer trading. After a winning week for stocks last week, it was the Nasdaq's fifth straight record high close. And investors are banking on that interest rate cut by the Fed. The decision will come Wednesday afternoon. Meantime, average Americans aren't so happy. Consumer confidence tanked again last month.
University of Michigan sentiment, 55.4 in headline. We're expecting a number well north of that and lowest since May of 25. So there's your weak consumer confidence.
CNBC's Rick Santelli. Here's more from CNBC's Sarah Eisen.
Just a little more color on that dip in sentiment Rick just reported. According to University of Michigan, particularly a strong dip from lower and middle income consumers. Consumers continue to note multiple vulnerabilities in the economy, rising risk to business conditions, labor markets, and inflation.
Inflation is now sitting up near 3%, rising to its highest since January, hitting Americans in their wallets. Meantime, holiday sales are forecast to grow the smallest this year in the last 7 years.
Deloitte is already forecasting holiday sales will grow between 2.9 and 3.4%. They look at it for November through January. That is the lowest growth rate since 2018. And at the low end of that range, of course, is only slightly better than inflation. Consumers are telling PwC, so this is a survey, that they expect to spend 5% less this holiday season over last year. And this is the first year-over-year drop in that survey since 2020. They're spending, they being the consumer, but doing so maybe carefully.
CNBC's Courtney Reagan. Pfizer and Moderna shares dropped on Friday on a report that the Trump administration will link child deaths to COVID vaccines. Stellantis-owned Ram Trucks says it's not going to build that all-electric Ram pickup that it was planning to build. To compete with the Ford F-150 Lightning, it has new plans.
Stellantis and its U.S. arm Ram dialing back their plans when it comes to electric vehicles, confirming that they are not going to be building a pure electric Ram 1500, the Ram Charger. They are continuing with their plans to build another version of a hybrid vehicle, and the range is going to be enormous if this meets the expectations.
CNBC's Phil LeBeau. On today's watch list, the Senate is expected to vote to add new Fed Governor Stephen Myron to fill a vacancy today, and he's expected to vote in favor of cutting interest rates by Wednesday. Chipotle's college football buy one, get one free entree deal is on today. It involves wearing a jersey and going in person.
All right, CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, Congressman calls it quits after these messages. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is in Israel, where he says he'll ask Israeli officials how they see the way forward in Gaza. Correspondent Donna Warder reports this comes as U.S. ally Qatar is denouncing Israel following their attack on Hamas leadership in Qatar's capital.
Qatar's prime minister is denouncing Israel as foreign ministers from Arab and Muslim nations meet to discuss a possible unified response to Israel's attack in Doha, Qatar last week that targeted Hamas leadership. Sheikh Mohammed Al Thani, who also serves as Qatar's foreign minister, says It's time for the international community to stop applying double standards and punish Israel for all the crimes it has committed. Sheikh Mohammed says his country remains committed to working with Egypt and the U.S. to reach a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. But he says the Israel attack on Doha represents an attack on the principle of mediation itself. The strike killed 5 members of Hamas and a Qatari security force member. I'm Donna Warder.
A longtime lawmaker from Texas plans to leave Congress. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
Republican Congressman Michael McCall has represented a district that spans from the outskirts of Houston to Austin since 2005. He chaired the House Homeland Security Committee for 6 years and most recently chaired the House Foreign Affairs Committee.
It's been an honor to serve for over 2 decades in the Congress. I'm looking now for a new challenge. I'm going to serve the remainder of my term. But I'm looking for a new challenge.
McCall told ABC's This Week that he's not running for re-election, but wants to stay in the same space.
That would be national security, foreign policy, but just in a different realm. But I want to continue to serve the people of this country in national security and foreign policy and do what I've done the last 2 decades to make America stronger and the world safer.
McCall's 2 decades in Congress saw him get reelected 10 times. He hasn't expanded on what specifically he plans to do next. I'm Clayton Neville.
America in the Morning for Monday, September 15th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Dozens of vigils and tributes from coast to coast for Charlie Kirk.
Young people he wanted to help.
I'm Richard Johnson.
The 22-year-old man accused of killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk appears to have become radicalized. I'm Donna Warder.
The growing call for more security funding in D.C. I'm Clayton Neville.
A new report says the economy will weaken this year. Ed Donahue, Washington.
Yet another massive leak of private information on the dark web. I'm tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
Mamdani endorsement, huge. And sports with Robert Workman.
Who took the top spots at the Emmys last night? I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy has the forecast on America in the Morning.
It is going to be quite warm across the central U.S. with mid-80s as far north as Minnesota into Wisconsin and mid-90s through Missouri, southern Illinois into Arkansas. These areas are about 5 to 15 degrees above the historical average for mid-September. The west will be dry with sunshine today. It is going to stay warm in the south with 90s in the California valleys and 100s in the southwest deserts, but much more comfortable in the northwest with the passing of a storm system. We do have a storm system moving through the central plains that will cause some showers and thunderstorms from eastern North Dakota into Minnesota and then southward through eastern Iowa into Missouri and Arkansas. These could provide some afternoon relief from the heat. This system caused some decent tornadoes yesterday, but the risks today are considerably less, and today's storms will be largely heavier rain. A storm that moved through the northwest yesterday will head into the northern Rockies today, and that will cause some showers and thunderstorms, and as this feature enters the high plains, it will cause some gustier thunderstorms through southeast Montana and eastern Wyoming, western South Dakota, and western Nebraska. Damaging winds will be the main concern from these thunderstorms. Look for additional scattered afternoon thunderstorms through western Wyoming into northern Colorado. And some lingering moisture will cause a few thunderstorms in southern New Mexico into West Texas, with another area around southeast Texas. Florida will also have some scattered afternoon thunderstorms across the south. The only other organized system is just off the southeast coast, and we'll be watching this storm backing westward with a slight shift to the north as well. And from that, there'll be increasing rainfall through northeast coast of North Carolina, with a few showers as far as south as coastal South Carolina. And this rain will spread westward at night into the Appalachians and northward into southern Virginia. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. The man accused of killing Charlie Kirk is due in court tomorrow. In the meantime, the praise, condemnation, and backlash over what Kirk said, did, and stood for shows no sign of abating. The latest from correspondent Rich Johnson.
Your name is the
Kennedy Center in Washington, where thousands gathered last night. It was one of dozens of vigils and tributes from coast to coast for Charlie Kirk.
You know, Don said to me, he's sort of like a son to you.
President Trump quoting his own son about his relationship with Kirk.
Now, he was an unbelievable talent, but he was more, it wasn't really so much a talent. He just really believed it. He just believed it. He loved young people. He wanted to help young people.
That's the president on Fox News Channel. As for Kirk's group Turning Point USA and its future, this from a fellow conservative activist who focuses on young voters, Judah Waxelbaum.
In a lot of ways, I wouldn't be surprised if they've woken up a sleeping giant. I think Turning Point has a lot of places to grow and go, and I think they're going to capitalize on all of it.
The comment also courtesy of Fox. On the other hand, a lot of people have actually celebrated Kirk's death, and many are paying the price.
Freedom of speech protects you from being arrested and put in jail for what you say, but it doesn't protect you from losing your job if you're irresponsible.
That's Richard Vatz, Professor Emeritus of Rhetoric and Communication at Towson University outside Baltimore. Dozens of people have been fired over social media comments about Kirk, including at least 24 teachers and university staffers. A Secret Service agent is on leave for citing what he called Kirk's history of spewing hate. Delta Airlines, Microsoft, Office Depot, hospitals, cities, and even an NFL team have fired people over online posts. On the other hand, some people have let their rage overtake their ability to accurately focus that rage, like those reacting to a San Diego woman who celebrated Kirk's death online.
Her husband owns a company with a similar name than mine.
That's Vito Iligan, an electrician in Sacramento, 500 miles north of San Diego. Still, his voicemail sounds a lot like this.
That's horrible what your fucking demonic wife is doing on social media. Man, I hope your business goes down.
Illigan's comment courtesy of KOVR TV. On Instagram, Iligan urged people to do their research. I'm Rich Johnson.
The investigation into the killing of Kirk is underway, but the governor of Utah says the person accused of pulling the trigger isn't cooperating with authorities, but those who know him are. Correspondent Donna Warder reports.
This person did not have any knowledge, was shocked when they found out about it. When he found out about it, the suspect has not been cooperating so far, and so we're getting all of this information from family members, again people around the suspect, and then the forensic information that we have, which is confirming everything and more.
Utah Governor Spencer Cox tells NBC's Meet the Press that the 22-year-old man accused of killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk appears to have become radicalized after dropping out of Utah State University in 2021.
Clearly, there was a lot of gaming going on. Friends that have confirmed that there was kind of that deep, dark internet, the Reddit culture, and these other dark places of the internet where this person was going deep.
And Cox describes suspect Tyler Robinson as having a leftist ideology, although he was raised by a conservative Mormon family.
He does come from a conservative family, but his ideology was very different than his family, and so that's part of it. We do know that the roommate that we had originally talked about, we can confirm that roommate is a boyfriend who is transitioning from male to female. So we know that.
Cox says investigators are still trying to pin down a motive for the killing, and says more information may come out when Robinson is scheduled to appear in court on Tuesday.
From family members, again, people around the suspect, and then the forensic information that we have.
I'm Donna Warder.
With a government shutdown looming at the end of the month, lawmakers in Washington are working to boost money for security in the wake of the death of Charlie Kirk. With a closer look, here's correspondent Clayton Neville.
Congress has to pass a budget bill by September 30th to avoid a government shutdown. A proposed measure reportedly could keep the government open through mid-November. More money may be included to better protect political figures in the wake of the killing of Turning Point USA founder, conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
I think this could be a turning point, frankly, to use Charlie's term, for the country, and I hope that's true.
House Speaker Mike Johnson told CBS's Face the Nation that he's seen support for more security and a desire to tamp down the rhetoric from both sides of the aisle.
I've been talking with a lot of them over the last few days about that and trying to calm the nerves, to assure them that we will We will make certain that everyone has the level of security that's necessary, that the resources will be there for their residential security and their personal security. We're evaluating all the options for that.
But he also said it's important
to be, reminded that it does take a certain measure of courage to step out and to lead. I mean, our first responders do it every day. Our members of the military do it every day, and political figures as well. But I think if we all adopt these practices together and we turn down the rhetoric, we cease with this idea that, policy disputes are somehow an existential threat to democracy or the republic. We stop calling one another names. I mean, calling people Nazis and fascists is not helpful.
Speaker Johnson told CBS the fact is there are deranged people in society.
And when they see leaders using that kind of language, so often now, increasingly, it spurs them on to action. We have to recognize that reality and address it appropriately.
Republicans and Democrats pointing fingers in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder, arguing over whose side's name-calling is the worst. The concern and fear seemingly not partisan, though, as the political tension rises amid a continued jump in political attacks. I'm Clayton Neville.
Feds could cut interest rates this week. A new fine for Boeing and another massive data breach. Those stories and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. It's happened again after NATO forces deployed and shot down drones that flew into Poland's airspace last week. Romania became the second NATO nation to have a Kremlin drone fly over their country. Romania summoned the Russian ambassador to Bucharest over the matter. As a result of both incursions, NATO announced they've launched Operation Eastern Sentry to bolster military activity and awareness along Europe's eastern flank of the nations that border Russia. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen posted on social media that the Russian incursions were a blatant violation of EU sovereignty. Yesterday, drones launched by Ukraine struck one of Russia's largest oil refineries, setting it ablaze. Shifting gears, there are concerns hanging over Wall Street about an economy that's slowing, which comes as the Federal Reserve is considering an interest rate cut this week. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports on a projection of a worsening economy.
A new report says the economy will weaken this year. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office report says President Trump's tariff policy, immigration crackdowns, and sweeping tax and spending laws are expected to increase jobless rates and inflation and lower overall growth this year before they improve next year. The outlook was updated and was originally released in January, before President Trump took office. The CBO outlooks attempt to set expectations for the economy. A White House spokesperson says Americans heard similar gloom and doom forecasts during President Trump's first term, when his economic agenda unleashed historic job, wage, and economic growth. And new policies are set to deliver, proving forecasters wrong again. Ed Donahue, Washington.
New York's governor is taking sides in the race for New York City mayor. In an op-ed penned for the New York Times, Kathy Hochul has formally endorsed Democrat nominee Zohran Mamdani, calling him a leader who's focused on making New York City affordable. Hochul's endorsement did not mention Mamdani's proposal to raise taxes on the wealthy. Mamdani, who also has the backing of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders, has pledged not to defund police, although he previously called for that action. In a blow to Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa, President Trump on Fox News dismissed the founder of the Guardian Angels as, quote, not exactly prime time, end quote. Recent polls show Mamdani with leads over rivals Sliwa, current Mayor Eric Adams, and former Governor Andrew Cuomo. A proposed fine of more than $3 million has been announced against plane maker Boeing. Details from correspondent Mike Hempen.
The Federal Aviation Administration wants Boeing to pay for safety violations. The FAA's proposed fine of $3.1 million against Boeing is for safety violations that occurred from September 2023 through February 2024. They include one related to a jetliner losing a door plug panel on its fuselage in mid-flight. The FAA says it has identified hundreds of quality system violations at the 737 factories of Boeing and its subcontractor Spirit AeroSystems. Boeing says it's reviewing the proposed penalty. The company put in place a safety and quality plan last year under FAA oversight. Boeing has 30 days to respond to the FAA. I'm Mike Hempen.
Another massive data breach has found over 250 million people's personal identity details have been leaked to the dark web. Chuck Palm has that in today's Tech Report.
Tech Radar reports that 3 misconfigured servers in Brazil and the UAE were spilling sensitive data like names, ID numbers, birth dates, contact info, and home addresses for over 252 million folks. These kind of leaks are a goldmine for personal information fraudsters, allowing them to impersonate anybody and take out loans, file fake taxes, or get your bank details. It's also a goldmine for wire fraud and social engineering, allowing cyber crooks to take out credit cards in your name or even hijack your mortgage. Pro tip: subscribe to one of many ID protection services online that could alert you in case your ID is discovered on the dark web. Bitcoin trading at 116,000 and Ethereum at 4,620. Follow me on X at Chuck Palm.
Plenty of NFL action over the weekend. Here's sports with our Robert Workman.
NFL Week 2, the Eagles beat the Chiefs 20-17 in a rematch of Super Bowl 59. It's Philadelphia's third straight win over KC since falling to them in Super Bowl 57. Last night, the Falcons vanquished the Vikings 22-6, forcing 4 turnovers. Jared Goff fired 5 touchdown passes as the Lions routed the Bears 52-21.
We got better this week. We did. We got better in practice. We worked on certain things. We got better, and some of it showed up today. So, yeah, it's just trying to find ways to respond, and I thought our defense played great as well and gave us a ton of opportunities.
Amon-Ra St. Brown caught 3 of those. 4 TD passes for Lamar Jackson as the Ravens romped over the Browns 41-17. Cowboys got by the Giants 40-37 in overtime. The aerial circus between Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson decided by Brandon Aubrey, who booted a 64-yard field goal at the end of regulation and a 46-yarder to win it at the end of OT. Colts nosed out the Broncos. Spencer Schrader missed a 60-yard field goal try as time ran out, but a 15-yard Denver penalty gave him a second chance, and Schrader made her. Bengals held off the Jaguars, but maybe without quarterback Joe Burrow for a while with a left toe injury. Wins for the Niners, Patriots, Bills, Seahawks, Rams, and Cardinals, and it's a doubleheader on Monday Night Football. Baseball, the Royals ripped the Phillies 10-3, a homer and 5 RBI for Salvador Perez, but Philadelphia still clinched a playoff berth for the 4th year in a row when the Dodgers drubbed the Giants 10-2. Cardinals nipped the Brewers 3-2, but Milwaukee became the first team to lock up a playoff invite on Saturday. The AL leading Blue Jays blasted the Orioles 11-2. Mariners won their 9th straight 11-2 over the Angels. Cal Raleigh hit his 54th home run. That ties Mickey Mantle for the most ever by a switch hitter, and he's still got a dozen games to play. Seattle on top of the AL West. Wins for the Tigers, Mets, Red Sox, Cubs, Padres, Braves, Nationals, Guardians, Diamondbacks, and A's. That's Monday Sports.
Thank you, sir. When America in the Morning returns, attempted sabotage of a Fox News van. That and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Two men in Utah are under arrest on suspicion of planting an explosive device underneath a television news van. Police in Salt Lake City called in the bomb squad when the device was found. Authorities determined that the bomb had been lit but failed to function. The van belonged to the local Fox TV affiliate KSTU-TV. The men, identified as 58-year-old Adib Nasir and 31-year-old Adil Nasir, face charges including weapons possession and threats of terrorism. Shifting gears, it was a magical night in Los Angeles where the 77th Primetime Emmy Awards were held. Entertainment reporter Kevin Carr has the big winners and a few surprises.
Last night, the 77th Annual Emmy Awards took place with host Nate Bargatze bringing his dry humor to the stage.
Welcome to the 77th Emmy Awards. You know, it's not a big one like 75 or 80, but it's the one they gave me.
The big winner for comedy was The Studio, winning Best Series, actor for Seth Rogen, and guest actor for Bryan Cranston. The Pit came out on top for Drama Series, bringing along Noah Wiley for actor, Katharina Lanasa for supporting actress, and Sean Hatose for guest actor. Adolescence cleaned up as well, winning for limited series actor Stephen Graham, supporting actress Erin Doherty, and 15-year-old Owen Cooper for supporting actor, making him the youngest male to have won an Emmy. To rein in out-of-control acceptance speeches, Bargatze had a unique idea.
I am going to donate $100,000 to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Every second you go over 45 seconds, we will deduct $1,000.
Of course, John Oliver had some fun while accepting the Emmy for Best Variety Scripted Series.
Thank you to my wife. I love you very much. Thank you. Goodbye.
Of course, current events were bound to be mentioned. Some pointedly political by Hannah Einbinder after winning supporting actress in a comedy for Hacks.
Go Birds, guys, and Free Palestine. Thank you.
And playful by Stephen Colbert, who ended up winning Best Variety Talk Series for The Late Show.
While I have your attention, is anyone hiring?
I'm Kevin Carr.
A major sports book has agreed to pay an NFL franchise roughly $5 million to offset losses from a former player's theft. Correspondent Gethin Coolball reports.
A person familiar with discussion says FanDuel has agreed to pay the Jacksonville Jaguars roughly $5 million to help offset the nearly $20 million that a former employee stole from the NFL franchise and deposited at the sportsbook. ESPN first reported the deal, which was finalized earlier this year. It came a year after financial manager Amit Patel pleaded guilty to stealing $22 million through a virtual credit card system the team used for expenses. Patel is serving a 6.5-year sentence in federal prison. He sued FanDuel last year. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
America in the Morning for Monday, September 15th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.